removing it with water. She is not married and never has been. To spend time with her kid, she requested that her ex-husband stay with us for a week. He's a New Yorker. She added that if I didn't, it would show how insecure and self-centered I was, so even though I didn't like it, I agreed. It goes without saying that I saw them enjoying themselves while the kids were inside the pool every day, drinking and barbecuing. When I finally returned home on our anniversary, I discovered that they had both taken extremely strange seats. After everyone had gone to bed, I had wanted to talk to her about it, and she basically didn't care what I thought. I went to my brother's house and stayed there. Her filing for a restraining order allowed him to remain there. In actuality, they went to a classy restaurant together for dinner. My divorce was filed. We both agreed he shouldn't be staying there with my 3-year-old kid while we are separated and so soon, but she ended up letting him remain on various occasions for a long, even after lying to me about it. She was indifferent. I made an attempt to relocate my son and accompany him to New York. Courts rejected. Very unpleasant custody dispute. She made every effort in the book to remove me from the picture so she could travel to New York with her ex, even attempting to set me up nonstop and phoning the police. Standard shared custody was ultimately agreed upon, and I moved on to a fantastic new job at the beach. Then she declares her love for me and her desire to patch things up. Thus, in an effort to maintain family unity and for my son's benefit, I relocate her to this location. She doesn't waste any time on relationships. Instead, she uses this place to catch up with old acquaintances and invites them over for a visit and some drinks. This irritates me since her kid is in New York with her father and will return at the end of the summer. By then, I would like to know that the marriage is doing well and headed in the right direction. She's got other ideas. I say something to her after she hasn't been working on her relationship or seeking for a job for a month. She exits after becoming enraged. Then, around every week or two, she gets wasted, starts acting irrationally toward me, creates drama, and walks away. I have no idea how she avoided being caught after leaving while intoxicated and completely wrecking her automobile. Nevertheless, I start to tell her that this isn't going to work. Either we prioritize and work on our relationship, or it will end. She initially displays some compassion, but after 2 days she loses it, doesn't want to talk to me, and adopts a ferocious, uncaring attitude. I texted her the Monday before last to find out how she was doing. She claims to be at Office Depot creating resume copies and is purportedly looking for work. I stop by Office Depot on my way to work, thinking I can pay for all the copies and pick up some excellent resume paper, even though I know she doesn't have much money. She's not there. Surprise, surprise. I ask her again over the phone, and she responds, "I told you at Office Depot." "No, you're not since I'm here right now," I said politely. Then, on her way to Office Depot, she says what she planned to say. However, given that she never materialized, I also know to be untrue. She lied to me out of discomfort. I remained silent and composed, and when I walked by her place the following day for a break, she wasn't there. I texted her to find out what she was up to. She hinted that she was using her computer at home to hunt for work. One another falsehood. I see her automobile at the apartment complex office as I exit the unit. Once more, I just carry on working without saying anything. The Wednesday, when I return to the flat, she is not there, but it appears that she is using the computer to hunt for work. I notice her automobile at the apartment complex office once more and enter this time. She is so absorbed on the computer that she doesn't even glance at me. She is not at all looking for work. She's looking for a spot to relocate while conversing with someone. I take a seat behind her and simply listen and watch. She never looks at me since she's too busy calling potential relocation locations. Concerned that if I say anything, it would spark a riot. I simply get up and go, but not before snapping some photos and videos of her acting strangely, since I know she will always deny it. I ask her to please come home so we can discuss when I get home. She appears perplexed as she does. I tell her that I wish to avoid conflict and battle. Together, we had a child. I therefore beg her to be honest with me, if for no other reason. I want to know if she's talking to anyone or seeing anyone. "No, of course not," she responds. "How in the hell?" Then I inquire, is she trying to find a place to move? She responds, "No." "Why do you ask me this question? What is happening?" I ask her to tell the truth once more since I know she is lying. I questioned her about her housing search. "I haven't searched for a place to relocate or anything like in a very long time," she says. I show her a photo of me doing just that in my apartment building's office. She clarifies that she meant to use our home computer. She could utilize the two we have there. I ask you, why are you utilizing one of our 2 computers and not the other if you had nothing to hide? She screams, "I'm not doing this," and leaps up. "I'll just walk out," which I said, "Fine, proceed." After dropping off our son at school, she heads off for a few nights. We don't communicate much once she returns on Friday night. I slept on the couch, she in the bed. I get up on Saturday morning to see her being kind and really making breakfast. Although I am somewhat astonished, I accept it. After all, if it can work, that's what I want. She continues by asking me to give her money so she may pay her daughters and her own cell phone bills. She says, I must not want it to work if I am unwilling to even give her money now, and I don't say anything. Since I am providing for her needs and she isn't providing for any of mine, I ask her if that's all she wants from me. After proving my position, I wanted to act in good faith. I give her the $250 she requested after asking how much she needs. Then, for no apparent reason, she begins to become ugly. When I question if she's trying to pick a quarrel, she says she's not, but she goes to the bathroom to shave her privates, after which she basically abandons my son and me for the entire weekend. We don't need to discuss because she returned this past Monday morning, 10 minutes after I was supposed to be at work. I left a VAR before I went for work, but she is unaware of it. When I get home, she doesn't want to talk to me or do anything, so we essentially avoid each other. I start listening to the VAR recordings as soon as I go into work too. She's telling her buddy Mary how her encounter with a handsome guy named Adam in a Jeep went. She told him the truth that she was going through a divorce, but since he is also divorced, I assume Mary, her friend, asked her about what she had said. She continues talking about how wonderful this is, how her entire life is going to change because of him, and how she practically has everything figured out for her new house. After I had had enough, I went home and asked her once more to come sit down and chat, but she had to be completely honest with me. I pose the identical questions to her as previously, and she immediately gets up and declares, "I'm not doing this crap again. I'll simply walk away." I said, "I think you should then," in response. That evening and the following day, she bombarded me on my phone about needing things that she had left behind, to which I never responded. She is threatening to have me arrested for not giving her the rest of her belongings. At last, I say that I don't want her stuff and that she is free to have them, but that for now it's better if we don't see or even talk to each other. She was obviously furious. This week, after a few days, she texts again, requesting her belongings. I tell her there isn't going to be any discussion at all, but maybe she can come over today and retrieve them. I ask to talk to our son, but he can't talk to me because she's obviously not with him. I never hear from her again, so I beg her to have him call when he can. I'm starting to wonder now about whether or not I should let her and her girlfriend visit the apartment today. In order to have a witness, I had originally planned to ask a buddy to accompany me, but he was unable to do so due to a genuine family situation. I worry that it's 2 against 1 and that she and her companion can say or do anything. She will take anything she wants, for example, and if I try to stop her, she will lie and call the police. I just don't want to deal with her at all right now. We have to get her the rest of her belongings, see each other to exchange our son, and handle school-related issues, etc. Even though we aren't together, so I want things to go as normally as possible without any drama going forward. When I contacted, the police stated that until there was an issue, which there hasn't been yet, they would prefer to avoid domestic civil disputes. I imagine things would be different if I were a woman making the request. In any case, I don't think I need to let them in. Instead, I'd like to see if we can schedule it for when someone else can witness. I would like to be able to trust her enough to just let her come grab her belongings she left behind, but I feel like I just can't right now. She will act up and threaten everything in the book. When I returned home after lunch, the residents of the apartment building said they would prefer not to become involved and hoped it wouldn't become an issue again. They and the police would definitely react very differently if I were a woman. At all costs, I want to avoid causing any disruption. I'm thinking I'll just tell her to come back another day so I can have a witness. She's going to scream, swear at me, and threaten everything. But until I can set up a day with a witness, I believe I will just return to North Carolina, superior to the substitute. She is not on the lease, and the locks have changed. When we split up last year, she abruptly stopped making payments, allowing our property to go into foreclosure. This was my place after that. Her ex-partner paid no money to remain with her, and they simply enjoyed the house and pool with my son. She wanted to go here where she has family after realizing she couldn't move to New York with him. I went and spoke with a few folks, and I ended up landing a fantastic job with an aerospace business. So, if custody is 50, I consent to sign this relocation request. 50 and child support drops from $800 per month plus alimony to just $500 per month, with our son having the option to choose who he wants to live with when he becomes 6. Unaware that I already had a fantastic job lined up, she consented. I arrived here before she did. She then desired to resolve the issue. I gave her another chance when I relocated her here, only to discover she was lying and taking advantage of me once more. She's out, but the custody dispute is resolved. Well, remark, she's a lost soul for whom there is no compassion at all. That much is already known to you. When she arrives to grab her belongings, don't leave you alone. Make sure you record the entire affair on film if, for any reason, you find yourself alone. Purchase a handheld video recorder or 2 and capture everything they do. Although this may seem excessive, your spouse is a crazy WH0re, and I am aware of how quickly she may find the right trigger to drive you to consider suicide. They use it as a survival tactic to push others to the brink in order to achieve their goals. As you have already said, maintain your composure and friendliness. She must leave your life. It's all your fault that you let her take away your balls and sanity. Stop the lunacy, please. I apologize, but I'm also glad for you, Opus. This was no woman at all like yours. You're worthy of much better. Think of your generosity toward her as a deed of kindness and let it go. OP says, I've been waiting for you to give me more energy. All of your points are spot on. She has manipulated me into acting against my best interest by taking advantage of my own love for her. I ask very little of her, really. I've given her a lot of opportunities. She basically has no love or respect for me or my son, and she has been the biggest mistake of my life. It stinks that I was so incredibly devoted to her and loved her far more than I ever imagined possible. It's also a shame as she was the greatest in bed by far. Yes, she practices a lot. Either way, it's time to let go. Overall, custody has been resolved in my favor. Had a wonderful young son. I live by the beach. I have a terrific job at the beach. I look 10 years younger than I actually am, and I'm going to Vegas for a week starting on the 17th and ending on my birthday, the 22nd. Pardon my French, but hey, whoa. I informed her that on Friday when she and her friend came to pick up the stuff, there would be no one present. I simply turned off my phone when she veered off track. Throughout the weekend, I was able to keep it in C, but yesterday, while I was outside, she unexpectedly showed up at my apartment with our son. She stated that's all she wanted before leaving, so I said, okay, I'll put them outside if you'll wait outside. Well, they burst in as soon as I opened the door. I didn't want to bring my kid along and cause a scene. She was really unpleasant and verbally aggressive, so I gave in and let her have her stuff. Obviously, once they went, she started to lash out at me. That's all my fault, etc. etc. I just abandoned the apartment and cell and spent the day at the pool. Naturally, there were a ton of nasty, vicious texts threatening me and other things when I got back later last evening. His claims and remarks are so absurd that I find myself responding in order to defend myself against them. Unwise decision. She simply became more cruel and said some really hurtful things that, to be honest, really broke my heart. I promised her that I would stop doing this and that I would turn off my phone, which I did. I don't have our son again until Wednesday, and even then it will be this weekend. At least now she has the stuff she left behind and has no need to get in touch with me. As much as I would like to, I'm considering just not getting him married in order to keep distance from her and create some space. I really just need some serenity right now. I detest not being able to spend time with my son. Her most recent remarks truly hit me in the jaw and caused me great pain. I simply need some peace right now, and even though I really want to see my son, I don't want to talk to her at all. It's signed, completed, and resolved. I could not have asked for more time where we resided. Unless, that is, she sleeps with goats. Every Wednesday night at the end of the week, as well as all vacation, and the summer months from the age of 6 on. Who he wants to live with is up to him. Not a single question was raised. It's a signed order in judgment from the judge. To me, the best portion came at the very end. It's fantastic that he will eventually be able to choose with whom to stay. All right, another day. Appear to be fluctuating a lot lately. However, an odd incident occurred last night. I discovered my former girlfriend on Facebook, and she is currently going through a 13-year divorce. My heart practically falls as she tells me her story. She shares my STBXW's perspective, and I find her to be so as well. I could only think, I feel so sorry for the poor guy, because I could see how easy it would be to hook up with her given how out of it she is currently thinking about her spouse. It sounds like he genuinely loves her, but the more he tries, the more indifferent she becomes and the more pathetic he appears to be. My thoughts flicker to how my STBXW has been witnessing all of my attempts to improve our marriage and work things out. Nevertheless, NC after listening to her portrayal of his pitiful text, that reminds me of the time I tried everything to get my wife to answer and engage in conversation with me. I feel so horrible for the guy, and no, I won't be the old flame she turns to since I could tell in every phrase how cold she had become toward a man who seemed like a nice father and husband and who only wanted his marriage to succeed by hard effort on a daily basis. It's absurd how she rejects him and acts as though his work is insignificant. Very depressing. Speaking of which, this weekend and every Wednesday night I am expected to pick up my son. I'm interested to see if that occurs tonight. I am aware that I won't be getting in touch with her, so we'll see as the day unfolds what takes place. I really don't want to talk to her at all right now, but I also don't want to see my son tonight. She asked what time I wanted her to deliver him when we texted a minute ago. My only response was, whenever is fine. When she replies back, I say yes, and it's best to respond as soon as possible. We'll see, then. Simply avoid engaging in the back and forth cycle. It's so damn hard today. She came this morning before work to take up our son because it's our anniversary. Being with him, seeing her, and celebrating our anniversary today. Everything simply clicked back into place, and I felt great about where I was heading and about myself. Guess I'm not as far along as I had imagined because this is really bad. The hits never stop coming. I just got the paperwork we needed to sign to sell our former house. Her new address was displayed. It's obvious from my stupid search that she is either living with someone or receiving financial support from her ex. I have a fantastic job, pay a lot of rent, and the place is 3 times nicer than mine. She doesn't work at all. She couldn't have done this with no money and no employment in a week, so even though I kicked her out a week or so ago, it's clear she had something going on and had this place in line previously. I'm in a terrible place right now. This is really painful. I suppose it's just further evidence that, as I already knew, I was correct all along. However, it hurts like hell. Positively, I suppose, it's just another indication. I made the correct decision and I was right. All I want is for my heart to feel the same way. I must have a large cranberry vodka. Even now, I'm unable to work. To be honest, I'm so angry that I can't stop pacing my office. I am aware that I must let it go. A very difficult day for ducks. This is too much to handle today, even if my intuition told me to shout. I'm just totally lost in thought at the moment. Sad, angry, sad. I'm sad for my son that his own mother would do this, but I also feel so abused and enraged. I ought to have known from the beginning. I'm to blame. Okay, fresh start and slightly improved outlook. She needs to see me again today so she can drop off her son for the weekend. I'm not excited about it and wish I could avoid seeing her face ever again. It is truly awful to adore a bad person. There are many options because I live near the ocean, and in 1 week, I'm going to Vegas. Things will improve. I simply don't feel like doing anything at all right now, though. I knew it was the proper thing to do, but there was a tiny part of me that hoped she would change her mind and become a real, loving wife. Yes, I had very high standards. If she was unfaithful to her first husband, didn't treat him like a wife, and held him responsible for all of her shortcomings, I should have known. It's beyond me why I would expect anything different. I guess the weekend went okay. I relished the time I spent with my son. I'm not happy about having to see her to drop him off and pick him up, but I'm cool and collected. It's terrible because I can't stop wondering what she is doing with our son in my presence. With whom is she with? Does she share a bed with them? Etc. I see that I alternate between feeling upbeat and self-assured and depressed and furious. It's really perplexing. I was determined to have better treatment and honesty from her while she was with me, or I would just walk away. Not that I didn't look twice, but I feel like a fool. She seems to be doing really well now. Without work, I moved into a brand new, 2-story condo with beach access and all utilities in less than a week. She moved in with me for 2 months while searching for a job, and in a week and a half, she found 2. This whole situation was initiated by her ex-husband. We'll be back here soon to give my stepdaughter back to my STBX, and even though the court order states he can't, I have no doubt he will remain with her. I'm sure she'll just tell me lies. She and I have not yet spoken about plans for the kids, etc. I don't want to talk to her since I'm turning 180 degrees. That's all. This is just bad. I can never seem to concentrate on anything for very long before thinking of her. Even though she was being rude now, I still wanted her back. This is really bizarre. The farther away we are and the longer it is dark, the more I need a diversion. The more I realize that she won't be returning, the more I find myself wishing she would. She is still engaging in gameplay with our son. She would much rather take him 45 minutes away to spend the entire night with one of her girlfriends. Then, while she works at her new job, let him remain with me directly across the street from his school. That is, unless her ex-husband is keeping him, and that is also a lie. If that's the case, she wouldn't tell me, even though he shouldn't. Since I'm not going to be checking or getting in touch with her, I can't say for sure either way. She basically won't answer any of my questions or tell me anything about our son, which enrages me every time I ask. I'll have to let go and meet him at the end of the week. It's just bad. I just returned from a 5-day trip to Vegas. I have reopened my Facebook page in an effort to quit moping and make new acquaintances. Why the way things are now has changed. A new day has begun. Day 2 since returning, that is. I had to see her this morning to get her to sign some documents for the sale of our out-of-state residence and to pick up our son. She yelled, screamed, and cursed in front of our 4-year-old, demonstrating her continued meanness. In essence, even though I was there on business, I went to Vegas. Oh well, I still love her and would be ready to work things out if she could be honest, but that's not going to happen. Besides, as time goes on, I find that I have more options and am less alone. It seems like a lot of women would be content to hang out with me. I haven't accepted any of the offers yet because I'm still not entire or healed, but I have to say that knowing that I have a nice market worth does cheer me up. I got to spend my birthday with my son yesterday. Actually, it was really pleasant. It's funny, yesterday night I spotted all the happy birthday messages on Facebook from family and friends. More than 30 of them were my first ex-wife or ex-girlfriends. From high school breakups to my former girlfriend just before my final marriage, it all started with them. I was struck to realize that I get along well with every one of them. They still would stop at nothing to help me, and we are all buddies. All of them, with the exception of my present STBXW, made me consider the possibility that it's not me. After just 2 weeks of dating, we were married in a courtroom at the age of 18. When we were younger, our growth took different paths. While I worked in radio, I was far from being the country girl she aspired to be. We have a wonderful friendship. Simply put, we were too young to understand the significance of forever, let alone who we were or what we were doing. However, our relationship is fantastic. It worked out that I wanted children and she couldn't have any. She is actually now my son's godmother. I had a wonderful weekend with my son, though. Did a ton of enjoyable things. We had a high school buddy join us, along with his wife and 2 children. Other than being on the lookout for a hurricane, the entire weekend was fantastic. That is, until yesterday night when she came to pick up our son. She arrives and immediately creeps me out with her negative demeanor. Our son is weeping and upset and doesn't want to go with her, so I beg her twice to please stop talking to me in that manner. He merely wants to stay longer, but she keeps blaming me for it. A normal 4-year-old. He gets quite upset when she yells, and I express this aloud and clearly for the third time. Do not speak to me in that manner in front of our son, I said. Now that she's very upset, she loses it, walks out without her son, holds up her phone, and yells that she's calling the police. When she's upset, she always puts things out there to frighten and harass me. I make my first ever police call and simply ask for several officers to show up to maintain order throughout the transaction. I detest it since my son is currently very distressed and I don't think he should have to witness the cops getting involved with my mother and myself. But even so, I wasn't going to fall for the same nonsense again. She is shouting and cursing as she waits for the police and claims she has a restraining order and that I will be put in jail. Naturally, I haven't received anything, and there's also no good reason for me to be silent other than providing the bare minimum of information regarding our solar and hurricane preparations to ensure that everyone is in agreement. Naturally, though, since there's no actual threat, she hasn't spoken anything regarding the restraining order. Just a trick she's used before to intimidate me. In any case, the police arrive, we switch our son, and naturally, she is upset. I detest it, but I'm not going to allow her control me, harass me, or threaten me any longer. Though I hope this is the last of it, knowing her worries me. There will be retaliation. She can be unrelentingly evil. It's okay that I assume I will eventually receive service regarding the restraining order. She has no grounds at all for the restraining order, so we will go to court. Thus, I doubt it will stick. She only wants to use it to control everything and intimidate me into submission. Not likely to occur. I had a wonderful weekend with son aside from that. I have a lot of fantastic options and am in a wonderful mood as it appears that the worst of the hurricane may pass us by. Hopefully she will stop threatening to call the police every time she gets upset or disagrees, calm down, and start acting more civilly. Absolutely insane. When it appeared like the hurricane would hit us directly, I offered to cover the cost of hotel rooms, help her and the kids flee, and other safety measures. She declined, claiming to have everything under control and not to divulge my son's whereabouts during the hurricane. All I needed was for us to agree on the basics of safety and evacuation. I stopped asking after she made it apparent that she had everything figured out and wasn't going to tell me what she was doing or where she was going. Although we might yet get some severe weather from the hurricane, it appears that we are already outside of its cone. Thus, I don't inquire and don't care at this time, so my anxiety and fear about safety are less of a problem. She didn't make it home until 10:30 p.m. last night, even though she was meant to pick up her son at 8 p.m. Undoubtedly, she is attempting to get the next meal ticket. In fact, our 4-year-old son exclaimed, "Daddy, Mom is being bad," when she dropped him off on Friday. When I asked him what he meant, he said, "Mom being bad," with big boys laughing. That's what a stinking 4-year-old said to you, but I'm sure there was more to the restraining order she attempted to submit, making sure that I don't interfere with her game. It's funny since I don't give a damn about what she's doing these days. I adore her, but her constant behavior shows that she isn't worth the trouble, and I am worthy of much better. All I want is for things to happen quickly so my son won't have to witness or put up with this garbage anymore. I'm back at home and I survived the storm just fine. Since contacting the police on her son, I hadn't heard anything from her. She did send a bizarre text asking who was, insert name of girl, and why it mattered to her, since there isn't another female, of course. I just chose not to reply. Everything is nice except from that. Friday, happy to see football back on television. An excellent method of spending no money and feeling as though you are making a difference while doing nothing. I haven't spoken to STBXW much aside from yesterday. We were evacuated due to a storm earlier this week, so she texted asking for the remaining $2,750 in unpaid child support. I replied to her text, saying I'll let it go dormant. She might also pick up at any time. Everything else is an adventure. There are so many girls vying for my attention. Most of them are middle-aged divorcees who exude extreme desperation. They practically ask you to come, have fun, and send them photos. Naturally, I haven't arrived yet. I know I'm a moron, but I still love my wife, and I'll be there for her till that poison leaves my system. I would rather not make things more complicated. Furthermore, it seems like women are searching for a person to solve all of their problems and carry a lot of baggage themselves, avoiding it. I'm excited to spend this weekend doing very nothing and watching some football. Perhaps spend some time at the beach. Try to stay occupied and pay attention to me. Even so, it's becoming easier with each passing day. I'm starting to miss being the naughty little kid and miss being my old self. I had let myself fall so deeply in love that I acted like a doormat. It's nice to smile and enjoy myself once more. The STBXW can smell happiness, I promise. My phone has been blown up by her. Rather than getting drawn back into that emotional game of whack-a-mole with her, I have just been ignoring it and being content. We must cherish the life we lead. Like sand in an hourglass. Update. So, last night, the STBXW stops by to pick up our son. She wants to talk, though. I inquire as to her needs. She's hoping we go on a date. I think, what the hell? It seems like she can smell my renewed confidence and delight. I kind of laugh at her because she gave up her negotiating power as my wife and now she wants to compete with the other ladies who are trying out for my time, even though I know my market value is much more than I realized. Furthermore, they appear to care far more about my needs and happiness than she ever did. I didn't say yes or no to her. I simply said, had something to think about, with a smile. Well, I thought you would be incredibly thrilled, she added. She asked me to come over and spend the night with her via multiple texts. I remained silent. Then, she looked great and had on extra nice clothes when she arrived this morning to pick up our son. I have him debate for me now what to do next. It's nice to have choices. To be really honest, I don't think she can compete with the other girls for my attention. She genuinely didn't seem to regret anything. More along the lines of, I see you are really happy and girls are after you, so let's try this again. I declined her request to stay the night last night. She arrived this morning looking stunning, and I decided not to give a damn. I would have been more genuine as a result of these things. In actuality, I'm content. Right now, my life is quite wonderful. There are people in my life that want to enjoy themselves and make me happy. It will take more than this for her to prove to me that she is sincere. Although I still adore her, I am aware of how she has treated me, and I am capable of and deserve better. She will have to turn around and prove it to me if she wants this. She's texting me right now, wanting to get together after work tonight. Yes, I have plans. Go home, grill some chicken, and watch football before getting a haircut. My opinion is that even if Opus misses her a lot, he won't go back because his life is better off without her. How do you feel? Please leave a comment. Check out the other ones. I've been uploading more lately, so subscribe and ring. And I'll return with the next one.